Learn the art of investing on Moneywise.
This is the Moneywise Podcast. My name is Seetal, and this is a podcast that brings you up to speed on how to navigate life with sound financial choices. And by sound, I literally mean that because, well, it's a podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing retirement planning. And if you're saying, oh, I'm only 20 years old, retirement dur ki baat hai, well, not to assume that that is where you really start. Only when you're 60 can you start planning for your retirement. That, in fact, we will discover, hopefully, in the course of our conversation with our guest, is probably not the way to approach retirement planning. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The person who's going to be joining us today is Mr. Sadashiv Phene, and he is someone who has quite an AUM, 1,400 crores. He's managed investments for 3,500 to 4,000 customers, essentially, and he's been in this space for about 25 plus years. Thank you so much, Mr. Phene, and welcome to the Moneywise Podcast.
Thank you. I'm very happy to answer your questions.
Before we get into retirement planning, can you tell us what is it that inspired you to become a financial advisor, Mr. Phene?
Actually, I started my career long back when mutual funds and all were not there. Mostly there were all these postal savings, life insurance, general insurance, and there was one thing called Unit Trust of India, which was also not like a mutual fund structure. It was like assured return. Most of them were like assured return products. Like 12% milta hai, either monthly. There were postal schemes which used to give monthly income at 12%. All those schemes were, even UTI monthly schemes were giving around 12% and all. They were kind of assured return schemes. Mutual funds came into picture at a later stage. And what happened? One of my uncles retired from a very reputed company. So that time his corpus would have been sizable compared to others.
Right.
So as usual, I invested all that money into kind of postal savings, postal MIS, UTI monthly, and all kinds of things. As time went on, they mature. Every 5 years, generally these schemes mature. So as they matured, my uncle started telling me, I need more income. This may not be, because his children were still into engineering and all their other expenses, all kinds of things.
Right.
So that time I realized, if this kind of problem happens to these people who are elite and all, what will happen to others actually if they don't plan properly? And at the same time, all these mutual funds and all were coming into picture.
Right.
So I started changing my strategy towards capital market related, where you could have better returns than inflation, better return than the normal fixed return instruments.
Right.
And that changed my mind, and I entered into this kind of thing. I started changing his portfolio, and now he is much better off. So similar strategies I have to apply for others also, where you can take off inflation post retirement also.
Now to come to the topic of discussion, Mr. Phene, what does retirement planning really mean to you, and what should it mean to everybody else?
Actually, retirement planning generally is when you stop working or stop earning money. The money you have invested or the corpus you have created should be able to maintain your lifestyle. That's the idea of retirement planning.
Right.
The same lifestyle or a better lifestyle, then it will be better off. Plus, there are so many other things, kind of healthcare cost and other things, which all should be taken care of. That is called my definition for retirement plan. It should take care of your lifestyle post-retirement, post you stop earning money.
Absolutely. And Mr. Phene, as someone who's been working in this area, helping your customers, etc., navigate life, why do you think it's important to think about retirement, and when should one start thinking about this planning?
Actually, generally what happens when you speak to younger people or any people, even at 40s and 50s, the moment I start talking about will start planning for your retirement also and all, they feel something offended, like abhi to mera life chalu ho gaya, what you are talking of retirement and all, like that. So the moment I have to keep interacting with them to explain them, if you don't plan now, suppose somebody is still 15 years down the line to retire. So whatever corpus he needs, if he starts today, if he forgets to start today and starts after 5 years, whatever, suppose he has to put say 20,000 per month to accumulate certain amount for his retirement, even 5 times money he starts putting after 5 years, he will not be able to reach that kind of retirement goal. So once I tell this, then they start listening to me. If you start later, it will be very difficult to reach those goals. Absolutely. Or that amount, what you want to plan for retirement.
Absolutely.
So that's why starting is so important. But unless you tell them, unless you make them aware, it's very difficult for them to understand. They feel that after it, udhar tabhi dekha jayega.
हाँ, करेक्ट। ये तो मेरे खेलने कूदने के दिन है, अभी क्यों इसके बारे में सोचूं? That is the typical mindset that we have noticed in a lot of people. But I'm glad that you brought that out, especially the fact that starting early can have a certain compounding effect on your assets later on, and that is something that we are trying to harness early on in life. Now, how important is this particular goal, retirement planning, compared to other financial goals? Because I'm sure a lot of people that you talk to will say that, I have to send my kids to school, I want to buy a house, I want to buy, in my immediate requirements, there is a car that I have been wanting to buy. There are a whole bunch of financial aspirations and goals. And yet, we need to also think about retirement planning. So how would you rate it amongst the other financial goals? Does it come last? Should it come first? Or somewhere in between?
Generally, what happens, all these aspirational goals or whatever are when you are still earning money. Post-retirement, you will stop earning money. And if those goals are not met before, it will be very difficult to achieve those post-retirement. So it's so important to start. This should be one of the first goals put in place for retirement, because till then you are earning. Other goals can be managed because you are still earning. You can manage your investments, you can manage your expenses and try to achieve those goals because you are earning money. Right. The moment you stop earning money, any other goal, any other financial requirement will be very difficult to achieve. Then you have to depend on somebody. So it's so difficult. So better to start retirement as the first goal. It should be put in mind of every investor that this retirement is one of the most important first goal.
Let us come to the ideal age. I did ask you about starting early, and you said the earlier the better, right? You shouldn't defer this decision to start planning for retirement until you're 40 or 50, because by then it might actually be a little too late. So what is that ideal age? Could you give us some pointers?
Ideal age should be the year you start earning. The moment you start earning, you have to start. But it's very difficult that time to explain or to convince those people that you have to plan for retirement. So even after 2-3 years and all, you have to keep harnessing them that you have to start for retirement. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. Whatever goal, suppose you are going to put today at say 10,000 per month and you can achieve, even suppose 10 years down the line, you start 10 times that money if you put every month, it's impossible to reach. It's like that. तो अगर आप आज 10,000 से चालू करोगे तो यू विल बी एबल टू रीच दैट गोल. अगर आप 10 साल बाद चालू करते हो तो इससे 10 गुना यानी 1 लाख रुपया मंथली डालोगे तो भी वो हो नहीं सकता है. तो इतना जब भी उनके मन में जाता है ना, that gives them the idea कि अरे हाँ, something he is saying, it will be very difficult. Then they start thinking of retirement planning.
And there are other things also, right? Most of us, we are thinking that, 60, 70, when we are at least in our 20s, we are imagining that ye hoga shayad mera retirement ka lifestyle. But we are not thinking about certain other things, about longevity. There are medical advances that are happening. People are living longer. So what are the other things that make it very important for us to start thinking now, even if we have just got our first paycheck in life?
Of course, now because of longevity, because of medical advances. So generally people start earning at around 25-30 age, and after that within 30 years they retire. So 25-30 years is the maximum your working age. But the post-retirement retired age is also 30 to 40 years nowadays because of longevity. Post-retirement nowadays people are living till 80s, 90s nowadays.
Right.
And the cost is going to be absurd because the kind of inflation and other thing. Healthcare cost. People don't consider about healthcare cost nowadays. Nowadays, no, if you are dependent on people, you have to employ people, you have to pay bomb actually. Even for nurse, day or night nurse, you will have to pay even today's levels around 30,000 rupees a day.
Right.
By the time we retire, it will be much higher, and that will be, if you want to have skilled nurse or something to help you, it will be quite expensive. So all that has to be taken care just now only while planning retirement. It's so important. People forget about. They just feel that मेरा खर्चा तो कम होएगा after retirement. I'll spend less. But spending it is very difficult that to change lifestyle. Your expenses will remain same or may increase a little bit as per inflation. Plus addition of healthcare costs. Plus if you are traveling somewhere, if you have to give gifts to others, all those costs are going to increase only. Cannot be less. You have to plan retirement accordingly.
Absolutely. So what is this corpus? How does one calculate the corpus, Mr. Phene, that one should aim to accumulate if one has to maintain and even perhaps, live comfortably without any worries in our retirement years?
Generally, that has to be calculated like this. Suppose somebody says, I'll need 1 lakh per month that time. So certain corpus, like 12 lakhs a year to earn, he will need at least 1.5 CR internal risk-free kind of, returns, properly giving him return. After that, there is a healthcare cost. So at least another 50 lakhs to 1 lakh, 1 crore should be accumulated for that 40 years of healthcare cost.
Right.
It's so important. And plus inflation. Healthcare cost inflation is going up quite heavy, is beyond the normal inflation levels. Plus your other requirements. You have to travel, no? You can travel, you have to do your other activities. For that, something extra will be needed other than the normal expenses. So all that has to be planned. So 50 lakhs to another 1 CR should be added to that. So that should be your retirement corpus.
Interesting. The word 1 CR itself has made me feel a little, oh bhai, have I actually missed the bus? But speaking of missing the bus, I'm coming to that question a little later.
Yes.
Right now, let's just, figure, Mr. Phene, how does one start investing? I'm sure there are different asset classes. So when you're thinking of retirement planning, is there such a thing as a perfect mix, like an asset allocation that one should think about?
When you are young, the maximum money should go towards equity oriented or hybrid kind, which has equity into portfolio, so that it can beat inflation and you will be better off. You will be early reaching your goal. Post retirement also, you can maintain the hybrid or more towards equity because the inflation cost has to be taken care of. As your expenses will grow over every 5 years, you will have to increase your income. So that can happen only if there is a capital market related instruments. Generally, what happens? People retire and they have these conventional instruments. There are called senior citizen schemes. There are bank schemes. There are mostly insurance schemes which are planned for retirement. Pensions. Right. I have a strong view that actuarial business, cannot take care of retirement because it cannot take care of inflation related. Only these mutual fund related instruments where you can have combination of hybrid or even equity related instruments where equity can be a portion which will take care of that future inflation also. So you can have higher income going forward. Every 5 years you can tell them, instead of 1 lakh, now I need 1,20,000 per month. After another 10 years, I need 1,50,000 per month because cost of living will keep going up as per inflation. So that can be taken care only by capital market related through mutual funds. And it can be planned very smoothly through mutual fund route. All other instruments where these are fixed return kind of, and your capital will remain same. If tomorrow interest rates go down, other things happen, then you had it because your expenses will go up and your income will come down. This is the only way where you can have income going up along with inflation. That's why mutual fund related instruments are very important for retirement planning.
Now, normally in this area of financial planning, I don't believe there can be a full stop, right? Just because you've retired and income is not happening, does that mean there is a full stop to your investment strategies? And after this, I only have to reap the fruits that I have sown, hopefully 25 or 30 or 40 years ago. There is nothing else I can do. I'm sure this is a wrong way of thinking. And I'm sure there is a way of actually accumulating your retirement corpus even after you retire by making the right choices. Am I correct about that?
Perfect, actually. As you said, you are perfectly right. See, your income stops, but your expenses will keep growing eventually. Just now I was telling the same. As per inflation, your income expenses grow. So you cannot just stop after retirement. Some portion of your whatever you can save, again you have to put back to your capital so that it will give you that higher income over time. Also, healthcare costs, everything is going to grow. To take care of that, you cannot stop investing. The moment you have excess money in the account, you have to keep parking again into instrument, which will take care of your future expenses. It's so important post-retirement also. So you cannot stop. You have to continue investing over time, where whatever you can, because after expenses, whatever remains in the account should be parked back.
Yes, absolutely. So essentially, after expenses from whatever you have made through your investments after you've retired, let's just say, and there is something remaining after you've paid your healthcare costs or your living costs and you've gone to visit your children and grandchildren, bought them gifts, what remains ideally should be put back. So then you continue to reap the benefits of investment. That I have got. Now, here's where I think emotions come into play, especially when we think about our retirement. A lot of people feel a little emotional about it because it represents a sort of a finality in many ways, right? Emotions come into play, and that is not a good way to actually make some financial decisions. So I want to understand, how can a financial advisor help you in this particular area?
Actually, this emotional way can be handled by personally meeting and making him like a friend. Whatever his other emotions, people forget about that also. Unless you have money, emotionally you should be supported that time. Family or friends or whatever best is friends or family members and all. If you don't have money, then you had it. Nobody will be around you. It's so important to have money, then everybody will be around you. Then the financial advisor has to be like his friend, whatever his requirement, whatever he says, whatever he thinks about it, he has to talk to him and he can keep guiding him, or he can be a part of his life.
Right.
So that's why that's very important, that one-to-one connect by financial advisor or financial distributor. Yeah.
And any pointers on how to find the right financial advisor? Because there are so much of information today, right? You Google something and you find 15 different articles telling you how to do this. And yet it is important to find a person who can guide you on that path. How does one select the right financial advisor?
Right financial advisor can be selected only when you know that person, and he should have that kind of experience in the industry so that he can guide properly over time, because it's so complicated. So many influences, so many reports, so many information keeps coming and it keeps misguiding. Actually, people get confused with all these things. A person should be there who will be able to guide that what kind of instruments he should buy for his retirement and post-retirement also. It's so important. There's so much confusion amongst investors. Even today, when my retired people, investors go to this park and all where they meet others and everything. Earlier also it used to happen. Every time he comes back, he calls me. Arey Sadashiv, they are all putting money into fixed deposits and all, and my money, they are telling your money is in risk. Again, I have to enter entire thing and keep telling him about what you are better off. Then I always ask him, you are richer than them, you are better off to them, or they are better off to you. Then he says, I am. Then only he gets confined that, okay, I am better off because of this. So the moment they go and interact with people, they will get confused again.
I hear exactly what you're saying over here. That is why it is important to have a sound financial advisor and also not be swayed by hundreds of opinions that anyway come to us on WhatsApp groups, on social media, and so on and so forth. On a final note, we've understood from you, Mr. Phene, that it is really important to start planning for your retirement early, preferably from the time that you get your first paycheck. It is not a word that should come into your life only after you're 40 or 50. It has to come in from that first paycheck. You've given us an idea of why it's important, asset classes, and also the importance of a guide who can navigate you through this journey. One question for you with respect to your own retirement, I have to ask you, what do you plan to do? This is a lighter question, Mr. Phene. What do you see yourself doing in your retirement years? And I hope that is a long, long time away, because we want your advice for as long as possible.
I don't think I will retire, because this kind of profession, I will be there for life actually. Till I die, I will be doing this only. But still, I would like to, whatever means, the normal lifestyle is there, always there with family and all. Then I'll have to travel, whatever, all those things, whatever in your mind. Everybody has different kind of things in mind. So based on that, they can do whatever if they have money. So retirement planning is so important. If you have to depend on somebody post-retirement, you had it. That much I can tell you. US and all, filthy rich people can't do activities of daily living. They are called ADLs there. Then you have to employ nurses, you have to employ doctors, and you have to be into whatever nursing home or hospital, employ nurses to handle all those things. Whatever filthy rich you may be, they say flat 12 months, means flat 1 year, your entire money will get wiped off. So expensive over there. This is still in India, we have people who will work for you and all, but you should have kind of money. People get scared when I tell these kind of things. So then only they can think of planning for retirement. It's so simple. But people get confused because of so many other things.
Absolutely. Understood, Mr. Phene. And thank you so much for putting that slight little bit of fear with a lot of optimism as well, because you've told us that it's never too late actually to start, and you can always continue to invest and be part of that exciting, possibility of making more money even after you have retired. So I am taking away a very positive note from our conversation over here with all those pointers. Thank you so much for joining us on the Moneywise podcast and guiding us towards a nice and comfortable retirement today.
Thank you.
You're listening to Moneywise, brought to you by Bandhan Mutual Fund. Check out the rest of our series for more insights on investment and personal finance. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.